Hello everyone and welcome to the Tek Torrent Podcast. This is number 31 of the year, and yes, I know the thumbnail is wrong. I've had a really busy day. I haven't had time to fix it. How is everyone doing today? Let's see who's in chat. Let's see, we got Tains. How you doing, Tains? First? It's been a while since I've been first. Yeah, thank you for being first, man. Thanks for joining the live stream. Crypto Bagel. I know you from somewhere. I'm trying to remember where though. Thanks for joining the live stream, man. Thank you to everyone that is currently watching. Remember, if you are stopping by, please leave a like. And if you stay for even longer, I love you even more. We got a pretty light podcast today because I actually have guests coming over. Also, let me know if my audio is fine, if anything sounds weird, or, you know, something's wrong with the stream. I am actually using the T-Mobile internet for this stream as a test to make sure it works before I completely switch everything over to T-Mobile. No endorsement. They didn't pay me or any of that. It's just a good deal. $25 a month forever for 5G LTE or 5G internet, which is not bad in my opinion. Yeah, so things going over today. So I've actually been busy since this morning. As soon as I got up, basically reorganizing my kitchen. So I got my oven, which I've been waiting for 6 months to get. I've finally arrived, and I got my new exhaust hood that I had to reconfigure to put in. But of course, when you have something with very new technology and something that's in an old house like mine, you start to run into some issues that you may not expect. And because of that, oh man, it's been all day. Like one thing led to another, then one thing led to another thing, and then I almost electrocuted myself. I'm doing carpentry, electrical, drywall, and cabinetry, all just to put in a new oven. Isn't that insane? Like the amount of work that's going into this. Yeah, so that's what I've been doing all day. So I'm pretty tired. I've been, you know, holding up those cabinets and exhaust hoods all by yourself. It's kind of difficult. It's very tiring. All right, Tane says everything is working good. I'm glad to hear that everything is working good. So, yeah, a little quick update on Tesla Solar. For those of you that don't know, I'll just give you a quick synopsis of what's been happening. So, essentially, back in March of last year, so nearly a year ago now, because we're only 2 months away from a year, that long ago, I actually applied for Tesla Solar to have it installed in this house, and specifically I applied for the Tesla Solar roof. And for those of you that don't know, basically instead of solar panels on your roof, the whole roof is replaced. The shingles are tiles, they're solar tiles, solar shingles that actually become your functional roof. And there's some advantage of this, but also the system is very new and it's very expensive. Now, where it makes sense for me financially, or it makes more sense, is that, well, my house is pretty old and it needs a new roof anyway. That's right, it needs a new roof. And I got quoted for a new roof at the minimum of around $18,000, with it being $18,000 to $25,000. Now, that's quite a bit of money. That's not cheap, right? That's literally, I don't know, 1/8 the cost of this house. It's not 1/8, 1/4 the cost of this house. Yeah, 1/8. And I was like, well, how much is the Tesla Solar roof? So all said and done, after federal tax credits, it's actually almost the same price. But I also get solar because there's a federal tax credit of 30% that just got, you know, revigorated for this year. And guess what? You don't get a federal tax credit on a regular roof, but you do on a solar roof. So in my case, it makes a lot of sense. It may not for everyone's case. So that's why I'm going with that. I'm at the point where if we look at the Tesla app, where it tells you what the statuses are and everything, I'm currently at the point of waiting to schedule. So my utility and my, what's it called? My town or whatever has given Tesla approval for the permits. So they said, yep, everything looks good. You can go ahead and start. So I am waiting to get on schedules, and it's been about almost a year since I started this project, and thank God, my roof might need a replacement, but it's not leaking. It doesn't have any major problems that need to be fixed right away, right this second. Thank the Lord, because then I wouldn't have a choice. I'd have to go for a regular roof. So as long as I get a new roof installed before December of 2023, so roughly 11 months from now, I should be good. My insurance, I got a little extension on my home insurance saying that as long as it's like a rehabilitation insurance policy, they'll let me keep this broken down roof for a little bit longer. So that's what's going on with Tesla Solar Roof. It's pretty exciting because, so I know everyone has their own opinions about solar and whatnot, and my personal opinion is, as long as the government doesn't force you to do it or inadvertently make you do it, it's fine. I think everyone should have their own choice. The federal tax credit is kind of like forcing everyone to do it, because guess what? Even if you don't want it, you're still paying for it through your tax. Thank you to everyone that lives in the United States for paying for it, by the way. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, so my system is going to be a 13 kilowatt system. And on really good days in the summer, I should be generating between 50 and 70 kilowatts on a good sunny day. And it's going to have 2 Tesla power walls, which means I'll have full electricity in the house even when the power goes out. So each power wall is 13 kilowatts, so that's like 26 kilowatts of power, which is not exactly enough to power my house all day and all night, but it'll get me through one night, and the solar can pick up the rest in the day. As long as I have those power walls active and all that, even if the power's out, solar will still power my house. So what I'll probably more likely do when I do get it and everything, I'll leave the power walls charged at around 100% and just leave it there, and have my excess generation from solar be shot right into the grid as a tax credit. As a electric credit. So in my area, unlike California, I have net metering, which means if I put 1 kilowatt of electricity into the grid, I'll get a credit for 1 kilowatt worth of electricity going into the future up to a year, which is pretty nice, because that means, let's say in the summer, I make an excess of 20 kilowatts a day or something like that, okay? So that's what, 300, let's say that's 600 kilowatts a month or whatever excess I have. That means in the winter, when I'm using significantly more energy with less generation, those kilowatt credits will apply in the winter when I need them the most, and really help me reduce my electric bill. In other words, it won't just be wasted. The electricity is not just going away to the utility company to where I won't get any credit. Let's see. So if you're watching right now, let me know in chat if you have any questions like that. If you have any questions about what's going on and stuff. Like I said, guys, this stream's not going to be that long. Probably going to be around 20-30 minutes depending on how things go. Reason being, I'm pretty tired from the day, and I got to do some work before a guest arrives around 8 o'clock. And we're going to go have dinner, maybe watch a movie or something. No, it's not a date. Well, it could be a date, but it's not. Let's see. Yeah, so let me just go over real quick what's been going on with my car charger for electric vehicle charging. So I actually did a trip to middle of nowhere, New Hampshire. I went really far north, about 3.5 hours north, and oh my god, guys, this is the craziest thing. So remember I told you being stranded in an electric car is kind of the thing of the past, because there's a lot of charging stations and all that good stuff. Well, guess what happened to me, guys? I got stranded, and I had to call roadside to get towed to a dealership to charge up. That's right, folks. You guys were right. Electric car is a waste of money, blah, 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 all that. So let me tell you the story of what happened, okay? And there will be a short on this coming out, maybe a video in the future. TekShinji time, so that'll be like 3 months. So this is what happened. I talked to my host and the person I'm going to their house, right? And I was going to stay at their house overnight. And they're like, yeah, you could charge her, no problem, So I was just going to plug in overnight, just 110, but it'll be enough juice to get me to a charging station, a direct current fast charging station, to go do a hop and skip over to the next one. So I get to their house, we're having a good time, we're hanging out. Or rather, we do at very first when I get there, I plug in my EVSE. So that's that charger thing that you have to charge your electric car. For those of you that don't know, that box, that charger, is actually not a charger. The charger is in the car. That box converts alternating current into a different type of level of voltage and amperage that the car is more happy with. That's all it does. It doesn't actually charge the vehicle. Anyways, I plugged it in, and it's been a while. And it's been a while since electric cars have come out, and they've learned a lot over the years, like a lot of safety systems. So they're actually very, very safe. It is nearly impossible to electrocute yourself with a charging system in an electric car. There's so many safety features that it basically is almost impossible. So, if your house does not have a ground in the circuits, it will not work no matter what you do. So guess what? My friend, their house is very old. It's from the 1950s. They just upgraded from knob and tube only like 10 years ago. But when they did, guess what happened? All the outlets in the house used to be 2-prong, right? No ground. Well, when they converted everything to 3-prong, looks like the electrician didn't do it right, and none of those outlets are grounded. That's right, folks. The entire house has no ground. Every outlet in the house, well, not everyone, almost everyone. We tried several on every floor. Plugged my EVS in, no dice. Says it will not charge. There's a ground fault. Will not charge. So you might go, Shinji, why didn't you just plan this better and stop at a charging station on the way? Well, I should have done that in hindsight, but there's no way for me to know that his house didn't have any grounds. This is the first time I've ever run into this. It's literally my first time. So I get there, I plug in, I'm like, oh, this is not good. Because it was 180 miles one way. It was like a 3-hour drive. And I only had maybe about 10 or so miles left of charge. And where he lived just happened to be a perfect circle of like a 30-mile radius in every direction for the closest charging station. The closest one was Berlin Chevrolet, way up there, and it was about 30 miles away, which equated to about 40 minutes of driving. So instead of staying the whole night and staying the night at his house, because it made no sense because I wouldn't be able to charge, I called roadside assistance from Chevrolet, which I get with my car free for a couple of years. And I got my car towed to the Berlin Chevrolet. Thank God they had a direct current fast charging station. They dropped me off. The tow truck was really nice. They were really nice people. They're actually kind of curious about electric cars. Told them the story of what happened. Went in the parking lot, dropped off the car. I drove over to the charging station because I had a couple of miles left. You know, the car wasn't completely dead. Plugged into direct current and I took a nap because at that point it was like 12:30 a.m. at night. I plugged it into direct current fast charger and I went to sleep. Around an hour and a half later, I woke up to the car turning off because so Tesla has this nice feature called camping mode, but my car doesn't. Let me actually check on chat because I haven't read that in a while. So I'll continue the story in a moment. So let's see. Oh, we got Soul7 in the chat. How you doing, man? Soul7, thank you for joining the chat. For those of you that don't know, the reason he has that purple logo next to his name is because he is a TekShinji loyal follower, and we thank you for being a loyal follower for over 6 months at this point. Thank you so much, Soul7. He goes, what's up? Let's see. New England Crypto says, yellow watch looks great, homie. Oh, this thing? Yeah. It's the Ultra, man. I gotta be careful. So, actually, Siri, stop. So I gotta be careful because this thing shows my longitude and latitude when it's off. So I gotta be careful when I show it because then I'll like super dox myself down to like a couple of square feet, right? So there was a video I was recording where I was kind of like doing some hand holding stuff, and it showed my longitude and latitude, and I had to like cut that all out. But yeah, I love it. The watch band is great. It's yellow, kind of like me, so it just blends right in. It's great. I love it so much. I will say it is not worth $800. Okay, this is the Apple Watch Ultra for those of you that don't know. It's great. I like it. It's been really good to me. But $800 worth? Probably not. Maybe like $300, $400, maybe. But I did get this for a pretty decent discount from totally legit sources, by the way. Okay. I'm not going to tell you how I got it because that's a secret. Let's see. Soul7 says, start carrying a ground rod with you. Yeah, so technically, if I just got a bunch of copper wire and I stuck a ground rod into the ground, like a copper, stake, and I wired it to the ground pin of the EVSE, technically, I guess that would have worked. That would have been totally, it would, like, as far as the EVSE is concerned, it wouldn't care. It had a ground, right? Maybe I should do that. New England Crypto says, honestly, we see that all the time in New England. There are ways to ground outlets after the fact. Yeah, I actually made sure this house was totally grounded before I even bought it. I actually had an inspection to make sure there was at least a ground, and I did confirm by looking at the panel. You can usually tell you'll see like a copper strand. It's usually a bare copper wire, and it's like pretty thick strand, and it goes down to usually where your plumbing comes from, and there's a stake in the ground. So my house, I wanted it done really well. So actually I have two. One inside the house that goes where the plumbing is. It gets staked into the ground in my basement, and one right at the meter box staked right into the ground there too. Crypto Bagel says the problem of an EV will never will I buy one. Yeah, Crypto Bagel, you are right, man. EVs are a scam by the government and all this other stuff. You are absolutely correct if you see it that way. I'm not here to convince anyone. This is a problem that I personally ran into for the first time. And like I said, guys, I know EVs become a political problem, which I really don't understand, but it is the way it is. I think, like I said before earlier in the podcast, as long as the government doesn't force you to do something, I feel like it should be okay because it should be a free choice. And I did talk about the tax credit, about how that's basically causing people to pay for it even if they don't want it. I obviously am a little biased, but I do understand everyone's point of view that either don't trust EVs or whatever. Overall, guys, I've had EVs since 2018-ish. I never really had any problems like this. This is the first time this has ever come up. And again, this wouldn't have even been a problem if I stopped at the Berlin Chevrolet for 30 minutes before I headed to their house. I literally was 5 miles short of range. And on my car, 0 on the guessometer of range is 0. There's no buffer. 0, 0. It's not like a car where the light turns on, you get 20 miles or something like that. Let's see. New England Crypto, that would be a great short. Yeah. I'm definitely trying to. So I did record a few videos, which if you're in my Discord, you would have seen them. I posted them earlier in the day in Gen Chat of that whole situation. So that's definitely something I will be trying to make into a short, because it's gonna be real clickbaity. Because it's gonna be like, oh no, my electric car ran out of charge, I'm stranded. You know, it's all the clickbait stuff that that just gets people going, and I just love it because it just attracts so much attention. Like the one I did where what do you do if you're stuck in the cold weather? That got 6,000 views in like an hour. Like, couldn't believe it. Crypto Bagel says, New England Crypto, hey bro. So, oh yeah, you can't tag on mobile, which I don't get it. Why doesn't YouTube fix that, right? How come we can't tag on mobile, man? That's kind of dumb. I really don't understand why YouTube just doesn't allow that to happen. Yeah, so anyways, guys, that is what's been going on with that. So yeah, the rest of the story. So because I'm a content creator and I just see content opportunities whenever I get it, I actually recorded a quick video of me plugging in the EVSC and showing the error code, the lights and all that, and the process of the tow truck coming and picking me up and taking me to the dealership, dropping me off, and then I plugged into direct current fast charging station. So it worked out. Like I just took a nap. I took like an 1.5 hour nap in the car, and I had the heat going the whole time. So, oh yeah, that's where I left off. So, Teslas have something called camping mode. Hold on one second. Let me do something real quick. Okay, I'm back. All right. Let's see. Yeah, so Tesla has something called camping mode, and what that basically allows is you to have the car's heating and HVAC systems working without actually turning on the car. Unfortunately, my car does not have that. It does not. So our car has to be powered on basically in park for the heating and air conditioning to work, and it stays on for an hour. After an hour, it'll just automatically turn off. The car will just automatically turn off and, you know, stay in park where it was. So around an hour in, I was like, you know what, the electricity is cheap here, might as well stay. I'm already taking a nice nap. I, turned the car back on, turned the heat on, then went back to sleep. Then about 40 minutes later, right around there, I woke up again for whatever reason. I saw that I had 180 miles of charge all ready to go. So I was like, you know what, I'm good to go. So I unplugged and left. I wasn't at full battery or anything because of the cold weather. So it was like 28 degrees that night. It was cold. And because of that, the car wouldn't allow a maximum charge rate. It only allowed me about roughly, I want to say 60 or 70% of its maximum charge rate. My car's maximum charge rate is 55 kilowatts an hour, or 55 kilowatts an hour on direct current fast charging, and it was only doing like 30 the whole time. And because I was at a direct current charger, I was able to heat the car and charge the car at the same time, which was absolutely fantastic. It's like having your own little hotel room, heated and everything. So let's take a look at chat here. Let's see. Miguel de Jesus. Is it Miguel de Jesus? I think the best way to go is plug in a hybrid. I have one that gives me 100 and some miles per gallon, but I think the way to go is hydrogen water cell. So Miguel de Jesus, I have some opinions on that. So the whole idea of hydrogen, right? So you got to understand, where do we get most of our hydrogen? Okay, so most of our hydrogen, by vast majority today, comes from something called hydrocarbons. What is a hydrocarbon? Hydrocarbon, exactly what we know and love. It's gasoline, it's oil, it's petroleum, it's fuel. So in my opinion, hydrogen fuel cells are kind of a cop-out for certain companies to not get away from oil. Now, one thing is, for those of you that don't know, the emissions of a hydrogen vehicle, depending on its processes, are heat and water, or known as steam. It's just literally the tailpipe has steam coming out of it. That's the emissions from a hydrogen vehicle if it's using a fuel cell, not combustion. One benefit of a hydrogen vehicle is that, yeah, it produces zero emissions, but the source of that fuel is where it's really important. On top of that, hydrogen tanks to compress the hydrogen to where it's liquid, to where you could carry enough. It takes a lot of pressure and you don't really have a lot of volume. There's some issues with it. It's a really nice concept, but until we find out more efficient ways of carrying it, I don't really think it's the best. Like, I don't think it's really the best way to power a vehicle. So there's a famous video of Arnold Schwarzenegger from California trying to fuel up a hydrogen fuel cell vehicle. And he was like struggling to get that thing on. Like, it's not easy because the amount of pressure required to compress hydrogen and all that is enormous. And luckily with hydrogen, it's relatively inert. So we all know the Hindenburg crash, right? So that happened, yes, but there was like the perfect scenario and circumstances for that to catch on fire. In a hydrogen vehicle, when the fuel cell is ruptured, you got to remember that it just basically evaporates and comes out and goes away. It's not like diesel fuel or gasoline that has such a low ignition point. Hydrogen has a pretty high one. It just kind of goes away. Because you got to remember, hydrogen at room temperature is a gas. It doesn't stay a liquid. It kind of boils, evaporates, and goes away. It's relatively safe, actually, believe it or not, because hydrogen won't pool up on the ground like in Terminator or something, right? It'll literally just rupture the fuel cell, rupture the capsule that's holding it, the tank, and then it'll just disappear. It's not like diesel or gasoline that'll just catch on fire later. Let's take a look here. Tane says it becomes a political sore spot because there's too many people out there that try to make you feel bad for not having an EV. And if that didn't happen, then it wouldn't be so bad. Yeah, Tanes, you know what? I actually agree with you. Believe it or not, man. I know we have some differences of opinion, but I do believe that we shouldn't, like, kind of like with, oh man, I don't want to get into too many things here, but kind of like with other things, we don't want to go around shaming people for not doing something, right? Because in my opinion, what goes around comes around, and you know, everyone's gonna get what they get from someone or somehow, somewhere, some later. Let's see. Yankee says Tesla took a golf cart and added a tablet to it. Oh God. So Yankee, I don't actually disagree with you. So I've said this in other podcasts. I really hate how modern car designs, the center display it looks like they literally just took a 10-inch tablet onto the car and molded around it. Doesn't look like the car was designed to have that. It just kind of like an afterthought and just like it literally looks like they just attached a tablet to it. Yankee, I do agree with the concept, but I do think they put a little bit more engineering into it. So to change your mind, all I ask that you do is that you go look up the Tesla Model Plaid and the electric motor and the design that went into making that. It's pretty cool. Like, even if you don't like electric cars or if you're not into it, it's the engineering, of that electric motor is pretty insane. Like what you had to do to get that kind of horsepower is such a small package. It's pretty crazy stuff. Let's see who else is here. We got Kyle Ross. Red hydrogen cars look really promising. Yeah, so I don't know much about red hydrogen. It does sound like a promising technology. It's so I did watch I think 2-Bit Da Vinci. He did a video on it, and that's where I learned about it. So first thing I hear when I hear red hydrogen, sorry, this is just what I hear, is remember in Star Trek, the first one, or I forget the newer one, the Into Darkness, the one by J.J. Abrams. So they used red, red matter or whatever to create a singularity. So when they say red hydrogen, I just automatically think it's like that stuff that's so powerful. Like you just, one drop of it will make a singularity. Let's see. Tane says, I have a video that could change your mind. Red hydrogen made with nuclear reactor. Yeah. Like I said, I think it's really promising stuff, and I don't really know much about it. I haven't really looked into it. Let's see here. Tesla. Oh, yeah, Crypto Bagel Stinky. Tesla started a new car era, but Muskrat bought his own way into the company and changed it even more. Yeah, I mean, so for those, I've actually talked to a lot of people about Elon Musk's, and so I guess there's this thing called nextism, which I didn't really know about till recently. So it's when you don't care about the hungry and the poor and the less fortunate. You just like think about going to Mars or something like that. And I really understand why it like irks a lot of people, and I'm kind of like that. I'm more, me personally, I'm more empathetic, and I'm not really for advancements like that if we can't help the poor. I'm actually, so my background growing up has been like more conservative, believe it or not. I had a very heavily conservative background growing up, and I've gotten a little bit less conservative over the years, but these days I have a lot of friends that are on both sides of the political parties, so I consider myself kind of in the middle, more leaning toward less conservative these days, only because of the last couple of years and stuff like that. But anyways, going back into it, the way that Elon Musk does things, I don't exactly agree with, but then at the same time, Ford, American companies, Chevrolet, they're not really offering any real competition on that level. Now, my car, as you guys know, is a Chevrolet. It's a Chevy, a Bolt EUV, and there's some competition from there. But Tesla doesn't really have anything that really is at that level in that price bracket. Everything they have is like $55,000. Actually, correction, they did a price change very recently, and now I think a Model Y can be had as low as $45,000, which is still an insane amount of money, but you can do it. Let's take a look at chat here. Ford had a full electric car in the 30s that went 30 and surge button to press getting them to 50. Yes, so for those of you that don't know, the very first automobiles, some of them were actually electric. Okay, you got to remember, ICE engine, so internal combustion engine, is a very complicated machine. All right, it's got a lot of moving parts, and everything needs to be made just right, essentially, for it to work correctly. And back in those days, in the early 1900s and such, the electric motor was a lot easier to operate, a lot easier to manufacture. They had some issues with recharging the batteries and stuff like that, but yeah, one of the first few cars made was electric. So just think about that. Here's a little bit of trivia for you. Just like today, where we get freaked out by new technology, back in the day when the horseless carriage, which was what it was called back in that time, basically like a steam-powered car or automobile as we know today, when those first came out, it freaked people out so much that the first ones, they had to get a fake horse head and put it on the front of the car, because people were just not used to seeing buggies and stuff without horses on them moving by themselves. It was like freaking everyone out. Today, it's kind of like analogous to how if we see a car driving with no driver in the driver's seat, it kind of freaks us out, right? It's like, whoa, what is that? Well, why is it's going to crash, It's the same thing back then. So that's a little bit of trivia for you guys. Let's see here. Yankee says, it's okay to be in the middle. I am in the middle because I just don't care. Yeah, Yankee. I mean, I'm I'm actually very open to a lot of different political leanings and beliefs. I actually have friends that are in the... Sorry, let me rephrase that. I have had relations in the sense that, like, I talk to people that have been in organizations that are against people like me and such. And, you know, it's very interesting to me to hear everyone's point of view and how they got to where they are today. I don't really think there's like a lot of wrong people. I just think everyone is like less flexible these days when they, you know, agree to disagree and just like try to like people for other attributes. That's me personally. But again, this is YouTube, guys, and I don't want to get too far into it because then, you know, they get unhappy with that stuff, unfortunately. You can't just kind of talk about whatever you want. Maybe I'll do that on like OnlyFans or something like that. Miguel de Jesus says, why don't they combine electric car with water cell to create hydrogen? Because it's supposed you can create hydrogen with electricity and water. Yes, so you actually can create hydrogen through, I think it's called electrolysis. In fact, that's how nuclear submarines create oxygen and water, drinking water and all that. They have nuclear reactors and they use electrolysis to basically use electricity to separate oxygen and hydrogen. You've probably seen this in your science classes where they have water, they put the 2 electrodes in it, and then you have the vial over the hydrogen. You collect the hydrogen, you can light it on fire, it makes a pop, or you collect the oxygen and you have a match that's about to go out, you put it in the oxygen and it comes back to life. You know, you've probably seen that in TV or in your classrooms when you were in grade school. So there's one major downside with that. Electrolysis takes a crap ton of energy and it's not very energy efficient. So what you're saying, Miguel de Jesus, is very possible, yes, but it's analogous to like taking 12 D-cell batteries to charge one. It really doesn't make economic sense on a mass market scale. Now, for example, there's some, I think it's, what is it, Saudi Arabia, New Zealand? I forget what country it was, but they actually have desalination plants right by the water to make, you know, drinking water. They don't use electrolysis. They use a different process that takes up more space, but it takes up significantly less energy. So in some situations, that is actually how they do it. Thane says, we need those advancements in order to better help the unfortunate. Everyone wins in the long run. Yeah, that's definitely possible. Let's see. Crypto Bagel says, Kyle Ross, just like those other cars won't run on water, but the government won't allow it. Other cars won't that run on water. I'm not sure what you mean about cars that run on water, because I think that was like, wasn't that like a scam that they had back in the day, like in the early, like during the fuel crisis, I thought. Crypto Bagel, let me know about that in chat because I'm not sure exactly what it is. Yankee says, I also freak out when my computer turns on. Oh, come on, Yankee. Is it because you were on those sites the other night and you forgot to close them? I usually, so the thing that freaks me out the most today is actually like bugs. So yeah, I'm afraid of bugs. If you guys know, I have a torch somewhere nearby at all times. Kyle Ross says, old times talk about 454s that got 50 miles plus and Chevrolet confiscated them. Ooh, really? Did they? Are you talking about the EV1 from like the 90s that they basically leased them all, crushed them? I'm not sure what that is. So a little 454, I think that's cubic inches or something. I think that refers to an engine block. So if we look at the technology of the carburetor and stuff, cars back then, carburetors were actually not a bad design. What they were not great at was that they had a hard time metering the fuel accurately enough to make it efficient. So there was actually times where the carburetor was up to par with efficiency of cars we have today. It's just the fact that, just like most things in life, nothing is consistent. And carburetors, at least my understanding, I could be wrong, they had a hard time changing and adapting to different environments and timing maps and such, which, I mean, those things really didn't exist back then. It was just like a distributor and I forget I used to know all this. You know, I used to work on cars for a living. Oh man, the distributor and the coil and the caps. the thing that spins that sends the sparks out. Anyways, the fuel injection and computer control and O2 sensors and all that is just they're just much more accurate, and they can adapt on the fly versus carbureted cars that were kind of fixed back in those days. Crypto Bagel, I'm in my town. Actually, let's see here. We're at 7:35, so I actually got to go in about 5 or 10 minutes. So we're gonna go ahead and then. There's a lot of people watching, and I definitely want to keep going, but I got plans with a guest that's coming in a little bit, so I just want to hold on 1 second. I'm about to leave now. Should be there in an hour. Okay, yeah, so I definitely need to end this kind of soon. So I'll be about 20 more minutes or so. Then we'll definitely have to end it then. Crypto Bagel says, in my town, it is still law to have lanterns in front of the vehicle in order to drive at night. Crazy how they have removed or changed it. Lanterns in front of cars. Are you, Crypto Bagel, are you talking about like Amish things, or are you talking about like, is that like what do you mean lanterns? I'm not sure what you're talking about. That Zip Pirate. Oh, how you doing, Zip Pirate? I remember you from a couple of weeks ago. I have an ancient gas stove called Metallica. Metallic? I prefer gas stoves and ovens compared to induction. Yeah, again, guys, this is probably something that's just personal preference from me. And, you know, you could say I'm racist against gas or whatever. My goal in this house to go combustion free. I got an induction stove because I personally like the technology better. I think it's more efficient when it comes to energy usage and stuff. That's just my personal preference. And I don't like having things burning in my house for heat and things like that. That's just me personally. I do like electric heat because it doesn't really create as much emissions. It creates some ozone. That's about it. But I've always been kind of ishy with things that put out carbon monoxide and stuff like that, even though the venting is really good these days. I actually was looking into getting natural gas at my house for heat because my electric bill has been through the roof. It has been insane. Let's see here. Crypto Bagel says, Shinji, love the Savage shirt. Savage Mind forever. Yeah, man. I got this before all of it went down back in the day. Savage Mind. Oh, man, guys. I could go back into my Twitter and look. So, before he went offline and he kind of disappeared, then unfortunately passed away, he actually messaged me asking me if I knew where to get GPUs because I guess he thought I just had like a connection, and you know I told him I'd help him out, but then I forgot, and you know I just, who knew what was gonna happen, guys? If I knew, I wouldn't have done that, obviously, but I just forgot to get back to him, and that's the last text message I ever got from him, which is kind of sad. I haven't deleted it. I still have it in my DMs on Twitter. Let's see here. Bitbat Shinji OF win. So I won't say much, but it technically already exists. Miguel de Jesus says there is already a car that runs in water, I think, and I think it was Chinese company. It was in 2019, I think, but the company disappeared. So, as far as I know, there's no net energy positive way to derive from water other than fusion reactions. So I'm not exactly sure if you can actually make a car run on water or make energy from water directly without using more energy to get that energy. You get what I'm saying? But if you know about it, that's pretty cool, man. I've never heard of it. Actually, any technology that had a net positive energy coming from water. Let's see. So Kyle, Crypto Bagel Kyle Ross, the 454 is a big motor that produces large amounts of horsepower. More horsepower means less gas burned to move said object, but racing will get you 4 mpg. So, Soul7 says, TekShinji, a 454 big block motor. They are referring to the system that would turn gas into vapor. Oh, that's interesting. I actually did not know about that. I'm not sure what that is about. I would have to go look that up because obviously when I went into the automotive industry, carburetor was like carbahoo, because I don't think I've ever worked on a carburetor from a customer other than like, you know, lawn mowers and stuff like that on a car since I've worked on cars in the, you know, 2008s and 2008s and 7s and up to 15. I think that's when I stopped working on cars. Skitty says that's why air fuel screws are adjustable, my bro. Yes, that is one thing that is adjustable in those cars. So 7 says please smash that like button. Yes, guys, we got 11 people watching, only 8 likes. Come on, that means if everyone watching right now hit that like button, that would work out, because we want to let YouTube know that we like this stream and we want them to keep going. Yankee says sellout. Yeah, I guess you could say that. Crypto Bagel says TekShinji, it is still law as back before cars didn't have lights, had to have lanterns to drive, and the law hasn't been modified or changed or modified. So I believe what you are referring to, Crypto Bagel, is something called blue laws. I think it could be called something else. So for example, a lot of states have weird laws on the books that was just never canceled or gotten rid of because they're just so out of date. Like, if you see cows on the road, you got to help them cross. You got to get out your buggy or whatever, help them cross before you cross over the cows or whatever. A lot of places have these things called blue laws for sure. Let's see. New England Crypto says electric heat. Yes. For those of you that don't know, I am using mining rigs computers to heat my entire house. My whole house is currently heated by nothing but GPUs and electricity. So my house's insulation is not amazing, or it's not that great, but it is actually being heated completely by electricity. And it's expensive, guys. My electric bill last month was $1,600. My electric bill this month was $1,400, and last month I used 5 megawatt hours to heat this house. And this month I used around 4,800 or so megawatt hour, or 4.8 megawatt hours to heat this house. It's a lot, quite a bit. Solar would definitely not cover that. I don't know if some people use 5,000 megawatt hours in a year, or 5 megawatt hours in a year. Let's see here. Kyle Ross says steam power. Mega de Jesus, why are you crypto going to the moon? Why are crypto going to the moon? Huh? Not sure what you mean by that. If you just resend that to me, if you don't mind. Dane says nuclear fusion for the future. Can't wait for the new power plants to be designed and built. Yes, I totally believe nuclear fusion is the way to go. We just haven't really gotten to the point of sustained net positive energy. It's very difficult. I do believe in nuclear batteries, like miniature nuclear reactors, reactors that only make, a couple of megawatts, a couple of megawatt or a couple of, kilowatt reactors like that. Not a couple of kilowatt, a couple of megawatt reactors. I think, though, is better because having big central reactors that take 10 years to build only last 50 years or so, that's really expensive and it's quite big. But I do believe nuclear power is definitely the way to go. I'm a big fan of nuclear energy. In fact, Seabrook in New Hampshire, where I usually reside, sometimes I'm usually in the DC area, there's a nuclear power plant in Seabrook, and they only have 1 reactor. They're going to expand to 2 reactors or something like that, but of course, people got scared of it ever since 3 Mile Island and all that. So, okay, guys, this is a fact that kind of pisses me off. So if we take the amount of megawatts generated, okay, so terawatts generated versus how many people have died as a direct result of the process of making that energy, from fuel, from coal to wind, solar, and all that, nuclear power per terawatt has killed the least amount of people in all of history, and that is including Chernobyl. Okay, really, guys, look that up. Literally go look it up. Nuclear power has killed the fewest amount of people per terawatt generated in all of history, in all time. Coal is one of the highest ones that kill the most people per terawatt generated as a direct result, mind you, like coal mining accidents, coal pollution, diseases and things like that. We're talking like in the pursuit of nuclear power, not bombs, to be very clear. That's not power, that's weapons of destruction. in the pursuit of nuclear power, nuclear energy, including Chernobyl and all the accidents, all right, it has killed the least amount of people and has caused the least amount of damage, in my opinion. So, for example, 3 Mile Island, okay, it made a bunch of news and all that stuff because the timing of 3 Mile Island was, you know, forgive the words, piss poor. So there's something called the China Scare or something like that, that movie that came out literally weeks before 3 Mile happened, that made 3 Mile so big in the news. Because you got to remember, nobody died, okay? And there's so many things there's so much miscommunication, so many things that happened at 3 Mile Island that just tainted nuclear energy forever, essentially. And if you look at 3 Mile Island from a big point of view, it wouldn't even have really made history because it wasn't a disaster, so to speak. It was an issue that they had that they did eventually resolve and fix, okay? So it's just my personal opinion, but the facts are the facts, guys. Nuclear energy is very safe. Like, it's very, very safe. All the like, so it's I kind of the analogy I would say, air travel is one of the safest ways. Even though when a plane crashes, you know, it's scary, right? It's really scary. Don't get me wrong, but more people die from automobile accidents every day than people do in plane crashes. It's very rare that you'll die from a plane crash. I believe the statistic was you have a higher chance of being hit by lightning or something. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that is a statistic. You have a higher chance of getting hit by lightning than dying in a plane crash, which is pretty significant. All right, Tane says the last fusion test got 50% more power coming out compared to what they put into it. Next phase is collect the energy. Yes, exactly. So getting that sustained long-term output that is greater than the input of fusion is the goal. And whenever they figure that out, guys, man, we could basically make energy for free. It's going to be pretty cool because, you know, fusion creates much less nuclear waste than it does with fission, which is splitting. So with fusion, there's fusing atoms together. With fission, which is what we have today, is when they're splitting atoms in a controlled manner. If you guys ever want to like really get into it, nuclear physics and nuclear reactions is pretty interesting. How they work. It's basically a steam turbine. We're using the heat generated by the nuclear reaction to boil water to make energy, right? And it's pretty amazing how we can harness that kind of energy safely. It's pretty cool. You guys should go check it out. Yankee says Homer Simpson agreed nuclear is the future. Yeah, so wherever Springfield is, where that nuclear power plant is with that big hourglass shaped tower, those cooling towers, it's pretty cool how that type of, so the whole thing where Homer brings plutonium home and all this stuff, that's like, it's such a bad thing. Like that is not accurate to how nuclear power plants operate. Tane says fusion doesn't create any nuclear waste. So it doesn't create any in the sense of material that we need to dispose of, but it does create hot waste and other related items to nuclear waste. That's not exact. So like, for example, spent nuclear fuel, it doesn't really create that. It does create hot waste and other related items. So it's not zero, but it's significantly less. It's all waste that we can process and get rid of safely. We don't have to bury it in a salt mine or something like that. Zip Pirate, nuclear energy is safe as long as that is managed correctly. Not using it would be a waste of resources. Yeah, so like France, I think they got scared of it or something and took a lot of their plants offline, which is really unfortunate. Like Fukushima, I mean, if you look at the history and like how the series of events and all that, it's kind of like it's basically humans. We screw things up all the time. Like basically we basically how do I say this? We have all these things in place. People bring up saying, hey, we need to fix this. And they go, no, it's good. We're fine. And, you know, these freaking, you know, floods come and everything. And, you know, they have all these issues. Well, maybe you should have designed it better, right? You know, it's very unfortunate how nuclear power has basically been demonized over the last few years. Tane says fusion creates helium-3, heavy water. Yes, that is one of the things it does create. I don't really know much about what we do with heavy water, but I know it's kind of important for a lot of things. I know there's like a lot of industries that use it for stuff. As far as fusion goes, fusion reactions, fusion reactors, I can't wait till that day, guys. That'll be amazing. Can you just imagine like basically having a self-sustaining reaction that just continuously creates energy until it burns itself out of fuel? It's pretty cool stuff. And when you think about it, it's pretty amazing. Let me see here. So I do have to get this going soon because my guest will be here in 20 minutes. And we're gonna go have dinner and stuff. So all right, guys, if you have any final questions for me, let me know in the live chat. If you guys have any questions about what's going on or any questions about things we talked about tonight. I know I said we're going to keep it a short stream, but a lot of people joined and the chat was going, so I really appreciate you guys being here. I really can't do this without you guys, honestly. Like, that's why I keep doing this. Even though about a year ago to this date, I had some severe depression and I almost quit YouTube. I actually talked about that last week and the week before. I almost quit, and you guys are the reason why I'm still here. And I love doing this, guys. And yeah, I'm not making as much content and videos, but it's really a lot of mental things that are going on in my background. But trust me, guys, I got like 7 projects that are all in various states of completion that are gonna be videos. Like, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. Okay, I'm a one-man show, and don't want to burn myself out. So I like making quality, but obviously YouTube doesn't seem to care about quality. So I've learned that the hard way for sure. Let's see here, what we got going. Zip Pirate says take care. Yeah, guys, so thank you to everyone that watched this week. I know there's a little bit of a delay in the chat, so I'm gonna give it about another 30 seconds to a minute if anyone has any questions. No one has any questions or anything, we're gonna go ahead and end the stream for the night, and of course we'll see you next week. What you guys got going on this week? What is it? So we got the Super Bowl or any of that stuff yet? Or is that in February? I heard that's pretty popular in America. Oh, I'm gonna have an oven by then, so I can have like wings. Oh, dude, like not having an oven and not having a range is so like, you don't realize how much you're missing until you don't have it, guys. I've been eating out a lot, and my food bill is between $600 to $800 a month. And of course, I haven't been getting very healthy. I've been gaining weight. My cholesterol's been going up. It's been now, of course, yes, I could have just got a hot plate and all this stuff, but I just, it is what it is. But I'm learning about it, man. I'm learning about it. New England Crypto sends his trophies. By the way, New England Crypto, thank you for watching, man. I really appreciate you being here. Say hi to Stella for me, and say hi to Rachel. Hope you guys are all doing well, and you guys are actually feeling better, because the last I heard you guys were all sick or something like that. So I hope you guys are all doing better. Well, guys, thank you to everyone that watched this week. We'll be here next week, same bad time, same bad channel, everyone. And thank you to all. By the way, guys, we do have a community Discord linked in the description below. Check it out, especially if you're watching this after the fact. So go ahead and join the Discord if you haven't already, and chat me up in there. I usually play games after the fact, but not this week. I'm going to be busy. So we'll see you next week, guys. Take care, everyone. Thank you very much for joining. Bye-bye.